Welcome in to Studio S. My name is Dan Koob. Another exciting edition of Market Movers. And exciting because our Philadelphia Eagles, I am including everyone into the Eagles umbrella because they truly are America's team. Not the Dallas Cowboys, not the New York Giants. I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. America's team is back in the NFC Championship game. And to help me celebrate that fact, of course, is one of our favorites, Anita Marks. Anita, how are you? You're wearing green, I spy.
I'm wearing green for you, Dan. I'm wearing green for you. I'm wearing green for you. I'm wearing green for Sporttrade. I'm wearing green because I was on the Eagles.
Let's go.
To win the Super Bowl before the season began. And so I got a lot of money on these birds, baby. Go birds.
Hand up. I also have a lot of money from August trades and bets on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. So hey, we're a pot committed to the Philadelphia Eagles. It was a great divisional round weekend. Maybe the games weren't as close as some would have liked. The closest one being that Niners-Dallas game, but I don't really think anybody would consider that a good football game. But Anita, we'll run down these four games real quick, and I guess we'll start in California. Niners-Cowboys. The Niners were $66.50 per share to win the game. Were you surprised at all by what unfolded out in Santa Clara?
Absolutely not. I feel that the game the Dallas Cowboys played against the Tampa Bay Bucks was a mirage because the Bucks were just god-awful. My mom, who's 82 years old, retired, living down in Florida, as soon as that game was over, she texted me at like 11:30 midnight at midnight and asked me if I thought Tom Brady threw that game. Because he's just done with this season and he wants to start looking for that next team that he's on. Of course, tongue in cheek, she actually did text that to me. I don't believe that Tom Brady threw the game. My point being is I think that was a Tampa Bay Bucks team that was just god awful. They played in a horrible division, and that's the only reason why they advanced and made it to the postseason. So there is something way wrong with this offense in Dak. He's throwing more interceptions than any quarterback in the NFL. I knew that he was going to have a tough time against the 49ers, who lead the NFL in takeaways and had 20 interceptions coming in on the season. And give me Kyle Shanahan 7 days a week and twice on Sunday night over Mike McCarthy. So no, the result was not a surprise to me. And I actually won some pretty good coin on Sporttrade with this last night.
The last drive of the game, just a masterclass in how to not get the football down the field. But the first play, Dak Prescott is rolling out to his right. He's in the end zone, and he runs into Eric Armstead. And I thought he must have been inebriated. I think Armstead was surprised that Dak didn't throw the ball away. They literally collided, and he just bounced right off of him. And my first thought was, this is a Cowboys team that just has no idea what they're doing. So it sets up Cowboys and, the 49ers and the aforementioned, we got it right, it's Monday, and the aforementioned Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles-Giants, a game that was basically over by the halfway point of the first quarter. The Eagles opened up at $77 per share to win the game, and they coasted basically the entire way. We live traded it on Trade the Game the entire time Saturday night, and by mid-second quarter, Anita, we were looking at NBA lines because we were like, well, not much intrigue left in this one.
Yeah, and this is the one game that I lost my butt in on Sporttrade this weekend. I did believe that the Giants would at least put up a fight. I thought that they would at least keep it close. I love the fact that they were getting the hook. I'm still not a believer that Jalen Hurts is 100%. And you saw the way that the Philadelphia Eagles played. Huge shout out to their offensive line. You know, they had 6-7 guys protecting. The Giants couldn't even sniff. They didn't even know what cologne Jalen Hurts was wearing on Saturday night. They could not get close enough to him.
It's Michael Jordan brand.
Dan, that was the game plan, Dan. The game plan was, let's rough up Jalen Hurts. We know his shoulder is not 100%. Maybe we don't sack him, but defensive linemen get those 3 steps and you get to hit. Let's knock him on the ground. Let's beat him up a little bit. Maybe he'll be sore in the fourth quarter, which will open up the doors and give the Giants a chance to try to win the game. But Giants couldn't even get close to him, and that was the game there. So I think what really is fantastic about your Eagles team is, however they want to game plan, they can. Like, they can do it all, right? Like, whatever defense you come with, like, so Giants came in and said, all right, we're going to get after Jalen Hurts. Okay, we're going to give Miles Sanders the ball, and we're going to rush for almost 250 yards, right? Like, they can. That's what's so great about this Eagles team, Dan, is that they can counter with whatever defense presents itself. It was really, really impressive. So kudos to the Eagles.
We'll talk more about the NFC Championship game. That's what makes it so interesting to me, are the ways in which Kyle Shanahan designs his run game and the way that Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen model their run game, because the Eagles have the best offensive line in the NFL. I don't think that's fandom speaking. They have maybe the best center of his generation in Jason Kelce, and their tackles are unbelievable. Lane Johnson has not allowed a sack in over 2 years, and he just dominates guys. And it's going to be unbelievably fun to watch him go up against Joey Bosa on Sunday. One final note on the epitaph of the Cowboys season. I was thinking about this today. This is a little Colin Cowherty, so excuse me. I have a lot of Cowboys fans in my life, unfortunately. And every time they lose, and maybe you have the same experience, Anita, they always say, yeah, well, we got the Super Bowls. It's kind of like saying, you know, the USSR, the Soviet Union, was great. What have you done for me lately? All right. You were great 35 years ago, but where have you been since? That's the Cowboys are the Soviet Union in my mind. I think the Packers are England. All right. The first dynasty led by, you know, somebody who's, you know, very emotional queen, one might say. I think there are other parallels out there. I cannot stand the fact that Cowboys fans are waking up this morning and playing the Super Bowl game. Flipping over to the AFC, the Bengals and Bills, which the under was obviously the play here on Sporttrade. Going into the game, we knew snow showers were likely, a 75% chance of snow showers throughout. That was the case. But the thing that I was very skeptical of was that the Bills actually opened up the game at $70 per share, and the Bengals were only $30. And that was, to me, the best value on the entire app as we entered the weekend. And Anita, I just look at Joe Burrow and I say, we have a 2-year playoff sample size of Joe Burrow. Playoff road wins at Tennessee. They were a 1 seed. Say what you will about the Titans. They were a 1 seed. Playoff win at Kansas City. Now a playoff win at Buffalo. This dude is ice cold, and I love him.
I listen, you know me. We've been doing this show all season long, yep. Dan. I've been on the big cats for weeks now, right? In fact, and I know we're going to get into some futures. Did I not invest in some big cat futures?
Of course.
A few weeks, maybe 2 months, as soon as Sporttrade offered futures, I jumped on Cincinnati. I'm with you. You know, he is just absolutely spectacular, and he has been tremendous the last 2 months of the season. And this is what I look for: teams that are hot, quarterbacks that are hot coming in. Now, I know a lot of people were fading Cincinnati because they lost another offensive lineman in Jonah Williams coming in. But if you go on PFF and you look at the grade for Jackson Carman, hope I'm pronouncing his last name properly, he had like a 67 PFF grade for pass protection, pass blocking. That's not bad. Okay. So not only, granted, you lose a starting offensive lineman, but the Bengals have a lot of depth. And on top of that, Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in reading defenses and releasing the ball under 2.5 seconds. And so that's how he was able to counter, what the Bills were bringing to the table. And so, you've got to commend Joe Burrow. He's just really unbelievable. And then on the opposite side, Dan, Josh Allen. I know I sat here and I ripped Dak Prescott for interceptions. Same thing with Josh Allen. Ever since he hurt his elbow, Dan, Josh Allen was not the same quarterback this season in the NFL. And heading into the game last night, he had 16 interceptions, and 11 of those 16 came in a clean, protected pocket. That's a big red flag for me. So I was all over Cincinnati. Also, not enough. People don't talk enough about their defense. Top 5 defense in the NFL, top 5 against the run. And big shout out to Joe Mixon, who's been stinking up the joint the last few weeks. But boy, did he get his against the Bills yesterday. So huge shout out to the Bengals. I was all over the Bengals. This is probably where I made my most money this weekend, was on Cincinnati on the money line.
They may have the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. Lou Amarillo continues to come out in second halves and just put the vices on guys. So when they got up 14-0, and we do want to visit the futures market, which we'll do in a little bit, but I can tell you got in on the Bengals, I believe at $2.50 they opened up to win the Super Bowl in the futures market on Sporttrade. Going into the game yesterday, they were $9 per share. They came out of the game at 24. So as soon as they went up 14-0, they'd only gone up to about $13 per share. That should have been your alarm bell should have been going off to hop in on the Bengals on the futures market. Okay. Last game before we actually look at the futures market, Chiefs and Jags. Jags plus 8.5 hits coming into the game. That was $49 per share. I was on that one as well, sort of a backdoor cover from my boy Dougie P. When we look at the landscape now, how concerned are you that Patrick Mahomes and his high ankle sprain is going to limit his ability to do what he does best, which is just bring magic to the field and improvise?
Yeah, I have some huge concerns. Listen, when you talk to players in around the NFL who've had a high ankle sprain, a lot of them will, and I have not. My issues are my knees. I've had what seven knee surgeries, 4 ACL and 3 meniscus. My issue is my knees. I've never had ankle issues, but those that you talk to who have had ankle issues, they say a high ankle sprain is actually a lot worse than breaking your ankle. So I've got some big concerns here. Another thing with Patrick Mahomes and what Andy Reid likes to do with him is get him out of the pocket. That's where Mahomes shines. And not to say that he's a bad pocket passer. No, he's not. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, top 3 for sure. But if he's got this ankle issue, they're gonna have to switch up what they do offensively. And what does that mean for the other players around them? They don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. With all due respect, Kadarius Toney, we see peaks and valleys with him. Travis Kelce is the end all be all, the recipient of what Mahomes likes to do. But I've got some big concerns here, especially going up against that Bengals defense. We saw what they were able to do with Josh Allen.
3 straight wins over those Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, before we look at the futures market, I want to rank these quarterbacks, Anita Marks. Mm-hmm. I want you to tell me 1 through 3 who you like. Who is the better quarterback? Your options are.
Now, is this, I just want to know what the rules are. Okay, is this season? Is this
right now?
Is this the span of their career in what we've seen so far?
Who you would take right now to be the quarterback of your team?
If I was starting a team,
yes.
Who would I take?
Who would you take? Your options are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Number one.
Number one.
I think that's the popular answer today. So give me the case. Give me the case for Burrow over Mahomes. Besides, he's super cool. I know that.
Again, and listen, they're all great, right?
Yeah.
Any owner, any NFL owner would love one of those three guys. But I like Burrow's swag. I like his confidence. I like his leadership. He throws a pretty ball. He's accurate. There's not an area of the field that he cannot throw. Understand that there's only a handful of quarterbacks in the NFL that can throw to all areas. Like believe it or not, there's some quarterbacks who can't throw a 25-yard dig out route on a rope.
Jalen Hurts was one of those quarterbacks 2 years ago. That was a throw he didn't have.
All 32 starting quarterbacks can do that. No, all 32 starting quarterbacks can't make all the throws. Joe can make all the throws. There's so many things that I do like about him. Is he head and shoulders above Mahomes and Josh Allen? Absolutely not. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Burrow.
All right, now we're going to rank the quarterbacks left in the tournament. Mahomes, Burrow, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts. Who do you like, 1 through 4?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Burrow, number one. Believe it or not, I've got to go, and it's interesting, right? Because Hurts, like I said, Dan, he's still dealing with a shoulder, but he's playing behind such a phenomenal offensive line. I've got to put Hurts in front of Mahomes just because I'm worried about Mahomes' ankle. I really am. And in that ability to scramble and move out of the pocket is his wheelhouse. And then
Purdy third,
Purdy last. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to really shock us there. Okay, so you're going Burrow, Hurts, Mahomes, Purdy. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, I think we saw in that game against Dallas last night, the true rookie come out.
I agree.
Right? Big stage, great defense. One of the biggest knocks on the 49ers is that they've played a very soft schedule with Purdy. Like we saw Purdy, look at his numbers, nothing to write home about, but he's got Kyle Shanahan. He's got a ton of weapons. If he could just play smart football, don't turn the ball over, get the ball in the hands of a Deebo Samuel, a C-Mac, a Kittle, an Ayuk, then let that defense shine. That could be their formula for success.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Anita. In fact, I had that thought watching the game. Second quarter, the Cowboys started to put him on the ground. They started to put Brock Purdy on the ground quite a bit, and he started missing throws, started having some happy feet. I think that's reflected in the futures market that we'll pull up now. You have the Eagles, for the first time this season, lead the Super Bowl futures market at $28.50 per share.
How's that possible? Why? I don't know. Why just now? How's that possible?
The market loves Mahomes. They love Josh Allen. The Bills as a team, right? Like if you just look at pure roster construction, I think the Bills have a top 2 team in the NFL. But, they're not built to play in their own stadium in January. They're not a power team. They're a finesse team. And you look at a team like, the Bengals come off the bus with 3 backup offensive linemen, and their game plan is still to run the football. The Bills can't run the ball. The Bills haven't been able to run the ball in 3 years. And yet, they're a dome team playing in the snowiest city that the National Football League has to offer, maybe with the exception of Green Bay. So Eagles 28-5, the Chiefs at 26-5, the Bengals 26 all the way up from 9 yesterday, and the Niners at 22. I think we talk about Brock Purdy. He's the sole reason why the Niners are at 22. I think if they had Jimmy G, they're probably the favorites, but I think a lot of people looked at that game yesterday and saw the offensive struggle, saw them not really distribute the football all that well. I mean, George Kittle makes unbelievable catches off of what I would call errant throws from Brock Purdy. Deebo Samuel, like I mentioned, not getting involved. Took them a while to get Christian McCaffrey on track. Kyle Shanahan finally in the third quarter, fourth quarter saying, you know what, I'm going to let my offensive line take me home here. And they basically scraped by a Cowboys team that I thought was inferior. But taking a look at the Super Bowl market, is there anything there that shocks you?
No. There's not. Keep in mind, Dan, that towards the end of the game, if you were still watching the 49ers Dallas game, Elijah Mitchell came in towards the end of the game. We got a heavy dose of Elijah Mitchell towards the end of the game. Apparently, Christian McCaffrey left the game with some type of injury. So you want to stay on top of that as well. I don't think it's pretty significant. I think if it was, we'd hear more about it today. But just the fact that they brought a lot, and the game wasn't, it wasn't over by any stretch of the imagination. And we got a heavy dose of Elijah Mitchell. So stay on top of that in regard to Christian McCaffrey. Again, as you said, I bought the Eagles before the season. I got on the Eagles before the season began. I got on the Eagles as soon as Sporttrade offered futures bets, and also I'm on Cincinnati. I think it's going to be a Cincinnati Eagles Super Bowl, Dan. That's what That's what I think it's going to be.
Let's go, because I'm also on those same two teams. So let's ride. Of course, go Birds. One thing we did want to mention before we hop into the markets for the Championship Sunday, Sporttrade had its first ever prop bet this weekend, and it was whether or not the Cowboys were going to miss an extra point.
Time out.
Yeah.
Could you have texted me and could you have notified?
I thought we had told you. Did we not tell you?
I'm a prop queen. I'm like, that's all I do is play prop bets.
There will be more. There will be more. So we had.
Let a chick know, Dan.
I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna wear that. That's on me. That's my fault. That's being. You know what that is? You know what that is, friends? That's being a bad friend. Yeah. I was a bad friend to you this past week, and I apologize. So I will personally screenshot and send you the prop bets that we have up for Championship Sunday. But we had our first prop bet, which was, will the Cowboys miss an extra point? And of course, the first time they try it, they miss, and it hits. And it was an 80-20 split. So if you had grabbed, $20 per share for Brett Maher to miss an extra point, you won in the first quarter. It was unbelievable. We actually had, let me look this up. I don't want to get this wrong. But we had a massive hit on that prop bet. I don't want to misspeak, but I believe this person had...
Somebody win like $3,000 or $3,500?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Just an incredible amount of money. And of course, I wasn't prepped. I didn't have it here. But yeah, I can't find it. But in any event, somebody had made a decent amount of coin on that bet. I will be sure, Anita, to make sure that I am getting you that information with plenty of time for you to react to it. All right, Championship Sunday. Niners and Eagles. The Eagles opened up at 57.5 per share. A little surprised at that, but I think the market is just sort of down on Brock Purdy. Again, if he would have played better, I thought this would have been like a 52-50 split. Niners at $44. Bengals and Chiefs. The Bengals at 49.5. The Chiefs at 51.5. That is a Patrick Mahomes is injured line to me. Typically, we would play the price is tight here for these prices, Anita. But looking at these markets, these two markets left before the Super Bowl, are you surprised that the Eagles are 57.5?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we were guessing what it would be, I'd probably come in at 62, 65.
Oh, you're going the other way. Wow. Okay. I thought this.
What would you come in with?
I would have guessed like 52, 53.
Really?
I'm not underestimating this Niners team. Now, you can throw on them. I think that the Eagles will. Obviously, the game plan for every team coming in is to hit the quarterback. I don't think that's hashtag analysis. But yeah, I mean, the goal is to be able to put Jalen Hurts on his back and on his side and on his hurt shoulder every single play, obviously. But I do think the Eagles will be able to move the football against this defense. But on the other side of it, I respect Kyle Shanahan so much that I am a little worried about the Eagles' defensive ability to get after the quarterback. I know they had the second most sacks since the 85 Bears, but I'm a little worried about how many points they may give up defensively.
Well, okay, so a few things in doing my morning prep for this game already, right? Number one is that, again, the offensive line to me was tremendous. And granted, yes, the 49ers, their front seven, much different than the Giants. But I knew going in that the Giants' main goal was to get after Jalen Hurts, and they couldn't even get like a stone's throw next to him. The 49ers, their outside cornerbacks are really weak. So I'm expecting a big game from A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. The 49ers have the best defense against opposing tight ends, which I'm going to be fading Dallas Goedert. But we've seen what A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can do. I'm worried about it's his calf. Christian McCaffrey's calf.
They did. The
apparently.
broadcast did show it being wrapped, him trying to stretch it out towards the end of the game.
The Eagles defense, as we know, first against the pass. And so I think Purdy is in for a long day. The Eagles have only allowed one 200-yard passer in the last 7 games. Only one 200-yard passer in the last 7 games. No rookie has ever made it to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. And we're talking about Mr. Irrelevant. We're not even talking about a first-round draft pick. And last but not least, this will be the 4th straight home game for the Eagles. They have not gone on the road since Christmas Eve. And so also you've got an Eagles team, with all due respect to the Giants, pretty much coasted the second half of that game. Meanwhile, the 49ers, that was a real physical matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. So now I think they're going to be a lot more sore, a lot more beat up, and now they're going to have to travel across the country. I love the Eagles in this spot, Dan.
Well, that makes me a lot better. I feel a lot better hearing you say that. One of the things that worries me defensively for the Eagles is I don't know who covers George Kittle. Kittle is just Brock Purdy loves throwing in the middle of the field. That is where the Niners make their bread, make their money offensively, is throwing between the hash marks. A Kaiser White George Kittle matchup gives me nightmares. A George Kittle CJ Gardner-Johnson matchup gives me nightmares. A Blankenship matchup gives me nightmares. I just don't think they have an answer for Kittle. I think Kittle has a huge day, but I think ultimately the Eagles end up winning this football game. And I actually thought the Eagles, who are -2.5 on the app, Anita, I was actually surprised by that. I thought the Eagles were going to be 1 or 1.5. So Eagles getting an extra point there on Sporttrade as well.
I mean, Dan, and I know we're going to move to the next game. I think a big reason why is because you are talking about a rookie quarterback.
Sure.
And we saw him struggle against the Dallas Cowboys, and I do believe that he's going to struggle against the Philadelphia Eagles defense as well.
Chiefs and Bengals. So the Chiefs at 52, the Bengals at 55. Well, the market has moved. So the Chiefs now at 51.5, the Bengals at 49.5. It just feels, Anita, like this is Joe Burrow's time. If he's hurt, we don't know about it. Patrick Mahomes is injured. There is no Tyreek Hill. I don't understand. Look, Travis Kelce's obviously amazing, but Marquez Valdez-Scantling's not going to beat you. Juju Smith-Schuster's not going to beat you. Sky Moore's not going to beat you. Just try your best to corral Travis Kelce, which the Bengals have proven 3 straight times they can do. They are battle tested. They love going on the road. They have the quarterback with the largest cojones in the NFL. I love the Bengals in this spot, and I just want to see Joe Burrow smoke another cigar in the locker room after this one and do his little dances. He does one of these. Does a little bit of that. Does a lot of that. I want that on my timeline again.
And you dig his wardrobe too, right?
Oh my God.
Again, I'm all over these. I like to call them the big cats.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow was great. 242 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against the Bills in that bad weather. He's getting the ball off in less than 2.5 seconds. And oh, by the way, has a 90 plus better passer rating. Again, with PFF, throwing the ball under 2.5 seconds. Jamar Chase in 3 games against the Bills, 417 yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't think the Bills, Watson and McDuffie, I don't think that Kansas City is going to be able to stop them. Hendrickson was huge against Josh Allen, 17 pressures and interception as well. Their DBs were great against Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, do you see what happened last night? He left the locker room, yelling at Josh Allen on the sideline. And then, of course, we've been talking about Mahomes' ankle. It's so now you're going to take it, and of course, if the ankle injury is pretty significant. Now you're going to take a dude who loves to do rollouts and scrambles, make him more of a pocket passer, and also Cincinnati plays a lot of zone defense. Mahomes is better against man than he is zone. So now put him in the pocket against zone. I think it's going to be tough sledding for Kansas City against the Cincinnati defense. That's for sure. So I like the big cats.
So we're both on the Birds. We're both on the Bengals.
That's right.
Birds, Bengals, Super Bowl. Let's ride. All right, before we say goodbye, Anita, I know you've got an NBA play or two this evening and then a golf play as well, coming off another John Rahm dub.
I do. All right. So my 2 NBA plays, I love the Bulls tonight going up against the Hawks, 6-1 against the spread on 3 days rest. And sure enough, that's what they're on right now. They just got back from Paris where they played Detroit. So this will be their 3rd game in 8 nights. 72% cover against the spread off of a win, by the way, for the Chicago Bulls. And they've been sporting the 5th best defense the last 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the Hawks, this is their 5th game in 8 nights, and they do not play very well against opponents who run a very fast-paced offense, and that's exactly what Chicago does. I also like the Kings tonight getting the 1.5 against the Grizzlies. Grizzlies, this will be a second of a back-to-back. They lost to the Phoenix Suns. Are they going to rest some players? Potentially, but I like the Kings' top 3 defense in limiting points in transition as well as fast breaks. Also great off the glass in limiting second chance shots. So their defense matches up extremely well with what Memphis likes to do. Also, the Kings, they're shooting 49% from the field. So
great value on both of those. Yeah, really good value on both of those, actually. You can get the Kings at $49, Anita, to your point, plus 102. And you can get the Bulls at 51.5 minus 108. So 2 great plays.
Fantastic. And last but not least, the Farmers Insurance Tournament is going to start on Wednesday as opposed to Thursday because they don't want to compete with the NFC and AFC championship games on Sunday. Rahm has just been crushing it, right? I mean, but I don't want to. I would imagine that there's not a lot of good value in Rahm right now. So I'm going to put some money on Tony Finau. His game fits this South course extremely well. He's got 7 top 25 in 8 starts here. He's long off the tee. He's great with his irons. He's great around the greens. And I'm also going to throw some coin on Willie Z as well. He shot 60s all 4 rounds last week at the American Express. This is a great course fit for him. And don't forget, he lost in a playoff to Luke List last year, right here. So, he plays well on the most difficult courses. And sure enough, that's what Torrey Pines is. So I'm going to put some coin on Tony Finau and Willie Z. But Dan, can you imagine if Rahm wins again? I mean, listen, Rahm has won here 2017, and he won a U.S. Open here in 2021. This course is great for Rahm as well. And he is starting the season on fire, man. He's won 4 of his last 6 tournaments that he's teed up. But I think where we can find some value is with Tony Finau and Willie.
It's the year of the Spanish Bull. I feel like we've been saying it for 2 years now. Rahm has been the most talented guy on tour for a couple of years. It just hasn't clicked. It hasn't gotten together. This is the year for the Spanish Bull. Before we go, and the Farmers Open will be in the Sporttrade app tomorrow, so you can be sure to jump in there and grab as much value as you can. Before we go, EPL in the app, English Premier League. You can now bet on Sporttrade, Fulham, and Tottenham Hotspur. Just mere moments from, kicking off. Is that what they say in soccer? I'm not really sure. From touching off, whatever, across the pond. So there you have it. Anita Marks, thank you so much. We are on the Birds. We are on the Bengals. We will talk to you next week. Have a fantastic week of betting. And we hope, of course, you see nothing but green money bars. We'll see you next week. See you, Anita.